Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you a little known feature within Helium 10's black box tool that is going to make your product research a much easier process. Before we do get into that though, if you are new to the channel, my name is Jansen. I'm a seven-figure seller with Amazon FBA that specializes in private labeling. And I've been selling since 2018 and also uploading Amazon FBA tips and tricks to my YouTube channel ever since then as well. So there's a huge back catalogue to go through and enjoy. And if you haven't already, please do remember to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any other Amazon FBA tips and tricks that I drop in the future. So let's get into the topic at hand, which is going to be a walkthrough of the keywords tab of Helium 10's black box tool. Now, if you're not familiar with Helium 10, it is essentially a collection of tools that are used by people looking to sell with Amazon FBA and people that already sell with Amazon FBA. So they're really, really handy. I've got a 50% discount link below the description or in the description of this video, and the discount link will also allow you to just try out some of the tools for free, so you don't even need to put in your credit card details. So if you're not a member of Helium 10, register using the link below, try it out, and if you like it, then you can also get the 50% discount. So let's jump into the computer. Assuming that you have got your Helium 10 account set up, the first thing that you'll want to do is log in to your Helium 10 account, and then you'll want to press Tools at the top of the screen and then click into Black Box. Now, what Black Box essentially does is act like a really clever search engine of every single product on Amazon. So it's a bit like Google of the Amazon world. And it basically will allow you to search using very specific criteria, such as price point, revenue, reviews, and tons more, which we'll run through in a moment. And then once you've selected that criteria, Helium 10 will show you all of the products that fits what you're searching for, which should, in theory, show you lots of product ideas that could be sold on Amazon. So most people, when they do use Helium 10, when they use the Helium 10 black box tool, they just focus on this product tab. And what the product tab does is show you products to sell, right? So you might think, well, that is sounds the easiest and it's probably the best. Well, wrong, because most people use that products tab, it often means that any ideas that you're shown are already quite saturated, or other people are looking at those ideas already. So what we're going to be walking through in this video is the keywords tab. Now, the keywords tab differs to the products tab because instead of you being shown products, you're going to be shown keywords or search terms that actual customers out there across the country are using. And that can basically put you one step ahead of the curve because instead of being shown very specific products, you'll be shown a range of search terms that people are using, which can give you clues for products that might not even be on Amazon yet. So you'll want to click into the keywords tab, and then the first filter that we're going to select, or the first filter that we're going to use, is search volume. So ideally, we want to see search terms or keywords on Amazon that actual people are using, with a decent amount of volume. So I normally like to go for at least 5,000. That minimum there is going to differ depending on what marketplace you want to sell in. For the example in this video, we're going to be using Amazon.com. But if you want to sell in the UK or Europe, all you need to do is just change this drop-down box. Now, the US marketplace is Amazon's biggest, so 5,000 is actually quite low. You'd probably want it to be even higher, but just for this example, we're going to stick with 5,000. Whereas in the UK, that 5,000 might actually be quite high. So if you're in the UK, you might want to change that to 1,000 instead. So search volume of a minimum of 5,000. And next we want to select monthly revenue. So we want to be shown keywords that are being used at least 5,000 times per month and are associated with products that generate a minimum of $10,000 per month. Remember, whenever we are doing our product research, the key thing to understand is that there's demand, that customers are actually buying a product that we want to sell. There's no point selling a product that nobody's buying because you won't make any money at all. So $10,000 per month. Of course, your minimum may differ. It's all related to how much you want to earn on a monthly basis. The next the next filter that we want to fill out is the price point. So normally I'll go 15 to 50 in dollars, just because 15 is kind of a amount that you're actually going to generate an acceptable amount of profit per unit. Any lower, if you're selling a product that's $8, then the absolute amount of profit that you're going to generate from that is probably not going to be worthwhile. It might be cents or even pennies. So $15 is normally what I'd stick to on the low side. And then on the high side, $50, you're going to be earning a decent amount of profit per unit there, but it's not so high that a customer would need to think twice about a purchase. That's still at an acceptable level where they may log on to Amazon, see something at $50 and think, yep, okay, I'm going to buy. The next criteria that we can change is to do with the review count. Now, this is something that does divide a lot of opinion. Again, there's no real hard set rule here on what you should set, but just for this example, I only want to be shown keywords associated with product niches that have a maximum on average of 400 reviews, say, and that should give us some neat ideas that could be fairly new to the Amazon marketplace, which might mean the opportunity to differentiate and stand out is quite high. Review count, I am going to leave that for now. Word count, we could just select as 2. Again, it kind of just play around with these filters. There's no right or wrong. I'm just putting word count of 2 because I don't want to be shown search terms, just a one word search term, which might not be too helpful. And then within advanced filters, just so we don't get tons and tons of different results, I'm going to select my favorite categories. And if you're a beginner, I'd also suggest you stick with these 2. So those are going to be arts and craft, baby, beauty and personal care. What else have we got? We'll go for health and household, home and kitchen, kitchen and dining, and let's go pet supplies. I think, we can also go sports and outdoors. The other ones typically will have different restrictions associated with them, or they'll be harder to sell. You need to get ungated and so on. So for the purposes of this tutorial, we'll just stick with those. There are, of course, tons of other different keywords for keyword filters that you can set, but I think that's okay. Let's see what we get when we press the search button now. Okay, so those results have now loaded, and if we scroll down, look at this, immediately you can see lots of different product niches for us to explore and check out to see if they're worth selling or not. So the first one is football girdle. I have never even heard of that before. It might be something that's associated with American football. So what we are going to do is press the actions button here, and we'll just press view on Amazon. And just so we can kind of rapidly go through some of these results, I'm just going to go back to these results here, and let's have a look at what else could be of interest. So car seat cooler, again, that's not something I've heard of before. It's got decent amount of search volume, 6,000 searches per month. If you wanted to kind of see whether that search volume was new or if the niche was seasonal or trending, you can press this little arrow button here, which is really cool. So Helium 10 will basically show you the pattern over the past year or so. And you can actually see, can't you, this one does kind of look a little seasonal, which I guess makes sense. It's probably going to sell better in the summer months. And so this might not be a product that you'd want to look into too seriously, just because it does actually look like it's seasonal. So in the winter months, you're not going to be selling too many units. Of course, that's up to you. If you want to sell a seasonal product, then it could be worth exploring further. But there you go. That's a great example there, isn't it, of how useful it is to have a look at search volume over a period of time to help you understand whether something is seasonal or not. What else have we got? So the price point, the average price point of products associated with this search term or keyword is $43. Then we've got the monthly sales, 382, generating on average $15,000. So generally speaking, it does look quite interesting, but just because of the fact that it's seasonal, I'm going to skip that one. Next, we've got snake hook. So let's just have a look at the results here. Again, this is the great thing about Helium 10. It just introduces you to so many products that you would never have heard of. I have no idea what a snake hook is. But if we look at the search volume over time, that's okay, I think. It's kind of it does look a little seasonal to some extent, doesn't it? It kind of seems to peak again in the summer months, but I don't think it's as harsh as it was with the car seat cooler. So let's have a look at that one. We're going to press view on Amazon again, and then let's just have a look at a couple more results. So Raiders hat, I think that would be to do with baseball or basketball. I don't know, but probably not. That's going to be trademarked, so that's not something that we can look at. Virtue hair products, that looks like a branded term, so I'm going to skip from that. If we just keep having a look down, okay, cake stands, that could be of interest. So we can see that we've got 9,000 searches per month. It retails for an average of $50, and sellers are making on average $16,500. So let's have a look at that one. And now what we want to do is basically have a look at what the Amazon results are showing us. So if we load up football girdle, which had a decent amount of search volume per month, we can now run our Helium 10 X-ray tool. So you'll need to install the Helium 10 Chrome extension to be able to do this. Again, it's completely free, and I'll put a link for that in the description of this video. We will press the X-ray tool, and what that's now going to do is show us the amount of sales in a bit more detail on a seller by seller basis, so that we can verify whether there is enough search demand and sales demand for football girdles on Amazon. Okay, so the results have loaded there, and the first thing that we need to do whenever you are running your Chrome extension of choice is to remove any listing that is paying to be there, so a sponsored product listing. A quick way of doing that with Helium 10 is press the filter results button, and then where it says hide sponsored products from results, you tick that and then you press apply. And the reason we want to do that is because, as I said, those sellers are paying to be at the top of the page, so their results may not actually be indicative of the norm in the niche. Okay, so we've removed those now. So let's have a look at each column of importance. So the first thing is the price point. We can see that everything on average is around $40 to $50. So it's a very attractive price point. If you had a profit margin of 20 to 30%, then you're going to be making, $10 to $15 here on average per sale, which is really, really good. And now let's have a look at the revenue column. So we can see quite a few sellers are generating over $10,000 per month, which is what we specified when we were running Helium 10, which is another tick. And then if we now have a look at the number of reviews, so we can see some, you can see one here and one here and here. They've got quite a substantial amount of reviews, which could indicate that there might be a limited opportunity to differentiate, or that competition might be higher. But if we kind of look a bit further down, you can see some sellers do have a lower amount of reviews and they do seem to be selling well. But one thing that I have just noticed, and this is, again, it's really good that this has happened, is that both of these sellers are very established brands. Adidas. Now, if you see this when you're assessing a product niche on Amazon, if you see very established brands are going to be competing with you, that's when you need to question whether you think that you'll have the marketing budget and the capabilities to attract a customer to purchase from you over a much bigger and more well-known brand. And my view, now that I've just looked through this, is that there are quite a few established brands here. So we've got Under Armour and Adidas, which is probably going to be a customer's brand of choice when searching for anything to do with football girdles, which looks now like it's some sort of protective wear that you'd have when playing. So despite a lot of the criteria being met here in terms of the search demand, the sales demand, the reviews, and so on, I'm going to skip this niche because we're going to be competing against really big sports brands. and I think it'd be quite difficult. So let's have a look at the next one. Snake hook. Okay, so now that I've seen this, it looks something, there's no wonder really that I haven't heard of it before, because in the UK we don't really have this problem. This is something that you'd use in the US or a country that had snakes, to pick up snakes and probably lob them out of your garden if they're poisonous. So let's have a look at the data. On first glance, it might seem like, yes, it is probably seasonal to some extent, because the snakes only really come out in the summer months. But let's run our Helium 10 tool, the X-ray extension once again, which in case it didn't make clear enough at the beginning of this video, you can use for free for a number of searches. Just remember to use the link in the description box below. So we're going to run that, and let's have a look at what the data shows. Okay, so the results have fully loaded, and just like before, we're going to press the filter results button, and we're going to press hide sponsored products from results. Let's now have a look at the different columns. So we've got the price column, and you can see that is kind of wide ranging, isn't it? So we've got some sellers here selling for just $10, whereas we've got other sellers further down ranging for as high as $50. So that would certainly be something that you'd need to investigate further. You need to essentially work out why this seller is charging nearly 5 times as much as this one, and if you felt that was justified, whether you thought your product would be more at the $50 point range or the $10 range. That is something that is really important. When you find a product to sell, don't just assume that you can charge the same as the highest priced seller in the niche. You need to have a look at the entire seller landscape and then determine whether or where your product would sit when it comes to price. So it does range quite a bit, doesn't it, on the price point? So that's something that you'd need to look into further. Let's have a look at what else we've got. So revenue. The revenue isn't actually that attractive here, which Helium 10 said it was. So, this is definitely a reason why you need to delve into the results a bit more and not just rely on what Blackbox says. Blackbox, I believe, kind of gets the results the day before or 2 days prior, whereas X-Ray is doing it now as you're viewing. So again, guys, really important that you check that rather than just relying on Blackbox. And that's shown me straight away there's just not enough demand here. So we've got a seller doing $2,000 and then another one doing $800, $7,000. Ideally we want to see at least 3 sellers generating more than $10,000 per month, which we're not getting here. So we're going to skip this niche. So whenever you are looking at a niche on Amazon, you've just got to kind of tick off my essential pieces of criteria, which I've run through on other videos before. So it's sales demand. Every single niche needs to have an appropriate amount of sales demand, and my threshold here is $10,000. You need to ensure that more than 3 sellers have that minimum amount of sales demand. Otherwise, if it's just one seller, that's increasing the risk that you're not going to sell anything at all. You need to ensure that your niche is profitable. We're not just doing this for fun. And you need to ensure that there's an opportunity for you to differentiate. And, when I kind of had a look at this initially, when the results loaded, I was thinking, even if there is sales demand, is there going to be much opportunity to differentiate? Because all of these look the same, don't they? So unfortunately, that is a big fat no. Now, cake stands. This is something that I know what is, of course, but not something that I've really looked at in much detail before. So let's run the X-ray tool. Let's then remove the sponsored product results. Press apply filters. And let's see what the results show us. So, okay, the price point is very attractive. It's ranging from that $40 to $50 mark. So we're going to be generating hopefully $10 or so per sale. The revenue is actually pretty attractive. So our minimum threshold here was $10,000, and we can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We can see plenty of sellers generating over that $10,000 mark. Another column that I do like to pay a bit of attention to is the seller country column, which was recently added by Helium 10. You can see how many here are saying CN, which is China. The reason that I like to pay attention to this is because if I am a US-based seller or a UK-based seller, depending on which platform I'm selling on, If I can see that all the competition are from China, that is a way for me to differentiate myself, because I can say on the listing, we're a US based seller, we're passionate about the best cake making products or whatever. And that is, quite a compelling reason for a customer to choose us versus a Chinese seller. It does work. It's something that I do repeatedly on my own listings. I always say I'm a UK based seller. Everyone else is international. Please support me. And it works. So that's another really important column to pay attention to. We've got the review count. And this is actually looking really attractive, this niche, because we can see that quite a few of these sellers have a low number of reviews, which could imply that they're relatively new and they're still making sales, or it could just imply that no one really is dominating this niche yet. Both very attractive. So I'm just seeing if there's anything else that's attractive, worth pointing out. I actually think this is looking quite promising. If we just have a look at the search volume over time, I don't think a cake stand would be that seasonal. Possibly if it's associated with weddings. You can see something's kind of happened with Helium 10's data here, but generally speaking, it looks to be over that 5,000 mark, doesn't it? Pretty much every single month of the year. It's spiked a little here. Maybe something's happened with the data, or there's more weddings or something in the main months of the year. But I actually think this looks quite attractive. So what you would now need to do when you find a niche such as this one, so it ticks the boxes of sales demand and an opportunity for you to possibly differentiate, because I'm already thinking of different designs that I could offer. You need to then verify the profit point. So ideally you want to see that the product is making 30% or more in terms of its profit margin. And to do that, you'd need to contact suppliers. And I'm going to run through how to do that in a future video. We're just going to do one next step to help you with your differentiation point. So what we've seen is that Cake Stands has 9,000 searches per month, and it's got that amount of sales demand. It's got a decent amount of sales demand across more than 5 sellers. So it's looking really attractive, actually. So what I would want to do now is come into keyword search and type in cake stands. And what this is going to do is only show me the keywords that customers are using that contains cake stands. And this is the kind of thinking outside of the box that you need to do to help you to differentiate, basically. Cake stands isn't actually showing anything. Okay, so we've got cake stand. I've just put the singular of that. So we can see, that's really interesting. More people are using the search term gold cake stand than just cake stand on its own. 13,000 or nearly 14,000 people are using that, and white cake stand. So there you go. We've kind of got 2 additional data points to help us when it comes to thinking about what type of cake stand we want to sell. So that's really interesting. So I would now be contacting suppliers that sell white cake stands and gold cake stands. And then one additional point to help you to think about ways to differentiate is just come into the Amazon search, and I'm using a Chrome extension called AMZ Search Expander, which I'll also link below this video, where it basically shows you what customers are using to search when including the word cake stands. So we can see they're using wooden cake stands, green cake stands, 6-inch cake stands. These are all ideas that are going to help you to find opportunities to differentiate. Now, you do have to pay for the version to give you search volume, so that's why I kind of prefer to use Helium 10. So you can either do that, or you can come into Helium 10, you can go into the magnet tool, which we're going to do, and then if you want to find the search volume associated with any of these, so let's say 6-inch cake stands, you come in to magnet, you type in 6-inch cake stands, you press get keywords, and then you wait for the results to load. And then once they've loaded, we're going to actually force Helium 10 to show us 6-inch cake stands by just typing in here phrases containing cake stands, because a lot of the results won't actually include that. It will just include some of the words. 6-inch cake stands, can we actually see if there's anything? There might not. Helium 10 might not have the data, unfortunately. There we go. So we've got 6-inch cake stand. It's just found the singular 913. So not quite as many people are searching for that. But again, that could be a possible route for you to differentiate. If you typed in 6-inch cake stand, I'm really going down the rabbit hole here. I'm just kind of doing these different techniques on the fly just to help you. So 6-inch cake stand. And what I'm looking for here is there could be an opportunity. We could find that there aren't any sellers actually offering 6-inch cake stands, if I can say it properly, which could be a really good opportunity, because if we find that there's no sellers offering gold 6-inch cake stands, and we know that there are 1,000 people searching for these, that's an immediate way for us to sell a product that has no competition, right? So if we just have a look, we can see a number of cake stands, but there aren't actually that many that are 6-inch. We've got an 8-inch one, we've got a 12-inch one, we've got another 8-inch. So there you go. I'm not going to spend too much more time just kind of diving into these, but we just found an immediate way to differentiate, haven't we? By combining our knowledge of how to use Helium 10's black box tool with AMZ Search Expander. And I just did all of that on the fly. We've done it in less than half an hour. Boom, Bob's your uncle. So I hope that this tutorial has shown you that the importance of using Helium 10's black box tool within the keywords tab. As I said at the beginning of this tutorial video, most people just skip straight to the products tab and then they see the same results that everybody else is seeing. So use the keywords tab, have a look at what customers are searching for on Amazon, and then dive into the data and check whether the niche that you found has actual demand, and whether there's any opportunities for you to differentiate by combining your research methods with that AMZ Search Expander. It is as easy as that. Just think creatively and think outside the box. So that is it for today's tutorial. If you've enjoyed it, remember to like and subscribe. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments, and I'll see you guys next time.